I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. It begins!
Weapons of war with laser guns. The Serpent of high-speed runs. Shaped like metal chariots, the Serpents rise. Engines of destruction with red and laser eyes. Waging war with Zoids of the Republic. Supercharged helic, frontline lightning quick. Serpent, snake chariot, a red and black. Serpent, aggressive war machine attack. Serpents, Empire Destroyer on steel track. Serpents, throwing death on wheels won't fall back. Serpents, snake chariot of red and black. Serpents, aggressive war machine attack. Serpents, Empire Destroyer on steel track. Serpents, rolling death on wheels won't fall back. Zoid wheels of steel death. Cenebrus invades helic with Serpent's breath. Racing across planet sea battlefield. Metallic war like Serpent, Zoids won't yield. First war of Empire and Republic. public rage. Zoid battles Zoid on the planet's east stage. Serpent fire laser guns without cease. Between Helicans and Nevus, no peace. No Serpent, snake chariot of red and black. Serpent, aggressive war machine attack. Serpent, empire destroyer on steel track. Serpent, from death on wheels won't fall back. Become globally free of Zoids bear front. New technology dooms the Serpent to end. But Zoids will retire, Serpent laser land. Serpent, snake chariot of red and black. Serpent, aggressive war machine attack. Serpent, fire destroyer on steel track. Serpent, rolling death on wheels won't fall back. Zoidstar now. Aliens disrupt. Zoid will won't allow. Androids smashed and Zoids stolen by flesh hands. Humans must be purged from the red Zoid lands. Right human falls, but Serpent presents new form. Red Zoid leader survives to bring war storm. Red mutant army lost, but hope still reigns. Serpent body frees leader from war chains. Serpent roll out on chariot wheels large. Serpent fearless monster machine will charge. Serpent crush the blue Zoids under your tread. Serpent destroy blue guardians with your dread. Serpent roll out on chariot wheels large. Serpent fearless monster machine will charge. Serpent crush the blue Zoids under your tread. Serpent destroy blue guardians with your dread.
was the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight. I, the Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.